Introduction. This presentation addresses the insights from Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert T. Kiyosaki, focusing on financial education imparted by affluent families, which is often lacking in the upbringing of the poor and middle class. I am Pushpesh Naik. With experience spanning 4 continents and collaborations with leading global firms, I have visited over 65 countries. As a chartered professional engineer from Engineers Australia and an MBA graduate from UNSW Sydney, I am eager to share perspectives on the influential book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert T. Kiyosaki. Combining autobiography with personal advice, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, 1997, illustrates how one can achieve financial independence and prosperity. The author contends that the principles presented in this New York Times bestseller are not commonly taught in society, yet are essential for acquiring and maintaining wealth. His highly successful career as an investor and early retirement at age 47 are cited as evidence supporting his claims. About the author, Robert Kiyosaki is an investor and entrepreneur with an estimated net worth exceeding $80 million. His Rich Dad brand encompasses over 15 financial self-help books, collectively selling over 26 million copies globally. Consider what your parents taught you about life, money, and career development. Were you advised to pursue education diligently and secure a good job thereafter? Although well-intentioned, this advice may not be optimal. This is the guidance often given by parents and educators. Regarding education, reflect on what you learned about financial management. If your experience is typical, it might be minimal. Many of us share this background. Essential financial knowledge required for wealth accumulation is seldom taught, yet it is available. Wealthy families pass it down through generations. How can you access it? I am Pushpesh, and you are engaging with the presentation on Robert Kiyosaki's bestseller, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Over the next 20 minutes, I will guide you through Kiyosaki's most insightful anecdotes and valuable lessons on financial management. Wealthy individuals do not work solely for monetary gain. Welcome to slide number 1. Before we delve into the renowned financial lessons, I will share a narrative with you. It is the story of a young Robert Kiyosaki, age 9, set in the 1950s. Robert and his friend Mike were inquisitive boys with ambitious dreams. They aspired to become wealthy, yet were unsure how to achieve this. After an unsuccessful attempt to create coins from melted toothpaste tubes, they decided to seek guidance. They approached their fathers to learn the path to wealth. Robert's own well-educated but financially struggling father offered a familiar piece of advice: pursue education, acquire a good job. This guidance, while common, is somewhat misleading. Following such advice often leads to a life of laboring hard to increase earnings, only for the majority of the rewards to be claimed by others, such as the government, creditors, and employers. Effectively, Robert's father was suggesting joining the rat race, the endless cycle of working for everyone but oneself. Many still adhere to this philosophy, often driven by a fear of defying societal expectations. We are conditioned to believe a good job equates to wealth, prompting us to study diligently as children and work tirelessly as adults. The outcome? While we may avoid poverty, we are not necessarily accumulating wealth. There are, however, individuals who do not pass this philosophy to their children. These individuals understand the dynamics of creating, increasing, and maintaining wealth. People like Mike's father, the affluent mentor who guided both boys financially. So what was Mike's father's advice? Initially, he offered none. Instead, he made an agreement with young Kiyosaki, proposing to impart his knowledge of money if the boy worked for him at a modest 10 cents an hour. Robert accepted, but after several weeks of being undercompensated, he returned to his affluent father, expressing frustration and a desire to resign. He felt exploited and claimed he had learned nothing about money during that time. Yet there lay his first lesson, imparted by his new mentor with a slight smile. Robert Kiyosaki had discovered that life often presents challenges, and he learned that working solely for money does not lead to wealth. This is why affluent individuals do not work solely for monetary gain. One might then wonder, if the wealthy do not work for money, how do they achieve financial success? Through unethical means, perhaps? Or simply by sheer luck, such as winning the lottery? Enhance your understanding of financial principles, recognize genuine assets, and invest accordingly. Welcome to slide number 2. Let's address the question from the previous slide. None of the given options is correct. Wealth is accumulated by ensuring that money generates further income. Instead of allocating all their earnings to unnecessary items and extravagances, the wealthy dedicate a portion to investments in various asset classes. Consequently, they rely on their investments to generate income rather than relying solely on personal effort. However, let's proceed methodically. When we last discussed, Robert was still a youth and the concept of an asset was unfamiliar to him. Mike's father, the wealthy mentor, was poised to impart critical knowledge. He explained that affluent individuals focus on acquiring assets, while those less affluent tend to acquire liabilities, often mistakenly believing them to be assets. He clarified that an asset contributes positively to one's financial situation, whereas a liability depletes it. This distinction is crucial and frequently misunderstood. Consider the example of a house typically thought of as an asset. However, it is often a significant liability. Purchasing a house usually entails a lifelong commitment to servicing a 30-year mortgage and property taxes, which deplete financial resources. A mortgaged house presents two challenges. Firstly, it guarantees a substantial monthly expense over the next 360 months, a clear indicator of a liability. Secondly, the funds used for these payments could have been invested in more profitable assets. The wealthy mentor simplified this lesson for the young boys. To achieve wealth, one must identify and acquire true assets. Conversely, prioritizing liabilities will impede financial success. He explained that individuals with lower incomes allocate their earnings to immediate necessities such as rent, taxes, and sustenance. Those with middle-class incomes must also cover basic needs while managing liabilities like mortgages, educational loans, credit card debts, and other forms of debt. The affluent, in contrast, rely on their assets to generate sufficient income to sustain themselves and often reinvest in opportunities like stocks, bonds, or rental real estate. This continuous reinvestment leads to increased income, perpetuating the cycle of wealth accumulation. This principle is critical. The key to financial growth lies in minimizing liabilities and expenses, allowing investment in assets that work on your behalf. By doing so, you will eventually accumulate substantial wealth. Focus on your personal financial growth. Generate wealth for yourself, not solely for your employer. At this point, you might be inclined to raise a concern. It's straightforward to critique secure, conventional employment while advising individuals to acquire assets. However, how does one afford to purchase those assets without an initial source of income? Does the money simply appear out of nowhere? No, the advice is not to resign from your current job, not immediately at least. What Kiyosaki emphasizes in his third lesson is the significance of focusing on your own financial objectives. This does not imply avoiding involvement in others' lives in this context. It means prioritizing your financial well-being and ensuring you generate wealth for yourself as well, not just for your employer. Essentially, focusing on your financial growth involves earning income through your asset portfolio rather than relying solely on promotions, bonuses, and salary increases. In personal finance, there is a distinction between your profession and your business. Your profession is the activity you engage in for 40 hours a week to meet essential expenses like bills and groceries. This typically provides you with a specific title such as restaurant owner or sales manager. Your business, however, involves the investments of time and money aimed at expanding your asset base. How does this connect with Robert's path to financial prosperity? When he was young, his father, with limited financial acumen, advised him to pursue a stable and lucrative job. Conversely, his financially astute father encouraged him to begin acquiring assets. Can you guess whose guidance he followed? Indeed, it was his financially astute father's. Robert established his first venture at age 9, hiring his friend's sister to lease comic books to neighborhood children. Others did the work, he merely collected the revenue. In later years, he also held a day job, dedicating significant hours as an employee at large corporations like Xerox and Standard Oil of California. Yet throughout this period, he minimized expenses and liabilities, investing the remainder of his income and building a robust portfolio of income-generating assets. This was how Kiyosaki mastered the art of focusing on his financial growth. He held a job too, but what ultimately led to his wealth was the expansion of his assets. His work for companies and strategic investment of his earnings taught him to view his assets as his own employees. Every dollar invested in assets worked for him, generating income even while he slept. Quite appealing, isn't it? If you aspire to accumulate wealth, adopt this mindset. It is unlikely that your salary alone will lead to substantial wealth, even with potential promotions and bonuses. However, your salary can facilitate the acquisition of assets that will enhance your wealth. The takeaway? Understand the difference between your profession and your business, as only one has the potential to make you wealthy. You know which one? By comprehending the tax code and legal system, affluent individuals maintain an advantage over the mechanisms intended to regulate them. During Robert's academic years, he was captivated by the tale of Robin Hood and his group of loyal followers who redistributed wealth from the affluent to the less fortunate. Although it was an exciting story for Robert, his wealthy mentor had a different perspective. To him, Robin Hood appeared to be a criminal. Rich Dad attributed the Robin Hood myth to the creation of a tax system he found objectionable. Just as Robin Hood redistributed wealth, the government attempts to transfer resources from the wealthy to those in need. However, Rich Dad observed that these efforts were not successful. In his view, it was the middle class that bore the brunt of taxation, not the affluent. Wealthy individuals were adept and resourceful, utilizing sophisticated strategies to mitigate taxes. One such strategy employed by the wealthy is the use of corporations. A corporation can allocate pre-tax dollars and is only taxed on the remaining amount after expenses. In contrast, individuals are taxed initially and can only spend what remains. This is a crucial distinction. Imagine being taxed only on the portion of your income that you do not spend. By using corporations to protect their assets, the wealthy can avoid the tax burdens faced by the middle and lower classes. However, this is not the sole advantage corporations provide to the affluent. When a corporation is established, it confines the potential financial loss if the business fails. Consider this: if an individual defaults on a loan, they must liquidate assets, declare bankruptcy, and comply with legal requirements. Conversely, if a corporation defaults and is unable to repay creditors, the owners may lose their investment, but their personal assets remain protected. Personal properties are safeguarded. Corporations enable the wealthy to achieve significant financial gains without equivalent risks. The takeaway is clear. By mastering the tax code and legal system, affluent individuals maintain a step ahead of regulatory mechanisms. Now let's return to Robert Kiyosaki's narrative. Many individuals lack a formal financial education. When Robert and Mike were still young, their mentor, Rich Dad, provided them with comprehensive access to his private business operations. They participated in meetings with bankers, attorneys, and accountants, gaining insights into what it entails to be a successful business owner. Consequently, the boys acquired valuable knowledge rapidly. However, they soon faced challenges. The skills they were acquiring from Rich Dad made it difficult for them to take their academic education seriously. They were repeatedly told that studying and hard work naturally lead to success and wealth. The significance of financial literacy, however, was a concept seemingly recognized only by Rich Dad. Children are not taught about essential topics such as saving or investing, leaving them uninformed about concepts like compound interest. This lack of financial training affects not only today's youth but also many educated adults who often make poor financial decisions. Consider this: a significant number of individuals lack a retirement plan. In the United States, 50% of the workforce do not have pensions. Among those who do, nearly 75 to 80% possess ineffective pension plans. Clearly, society has inadequately prepared us in terms of financial knowledge. However, becoming financially literate is one of Kiyosaki's fundamental lessons. So what should you do? Educate yourself and begin developing a financial strategy. Now, we've reached slide 6, and it is time to discuss the actions necessary to achieve financial prosperity. Acquire a comprehensive financial education by following 3 essential steps. Evaluate your current financial status, establish clear financial objectives, and cultivate the financial acumen necessary to achieve them. It is possible to embark on the path to personal financial success at any stage of life, although initiating this journey earlier is advantageous. Commencing at the age of 20, for instance, increases the likelihood of attaining wealth compared to starting at 30. Regardless of age, the optimal approach involves adhering to these 3 steps. Begin by evaluating your financial situation. Next, define your financial objectives. Finally, pursue the education required to achieve them. Let us examine these steps in greater detail. In the initial phase, conduct a candid assessment of your current financial condition. Consider the realistic income you can expect with your current employment and the expenses you can sustainably manage. For instance, the new Mercedes you aspire to own may not be financially feasible at present. It is important to maintain honesty and refrain from considering funds that are not yet available. Following this, you can establish realistic financial goals. You might aspire to afford that Mercedes within 5 years. Kim Kiyosaki, for example, waited 4 years and eventually purchased her Mercedes using profits from their apartment buildings. The subsequent step involves enhancing your financial intelligence. View this as an investment in your most valuable asset, your mind. Learn effective money management strategies. For instance, if you fear rejection, consider gaining experience in a network marketing role. Although the salary may not be substantial, you will acquire valuable sales skills and self-confidence which will be beneficial in the future. Additionally, you can enhance your financial education during your free time. Enroll in finance courses and seminars, read relevant literature, and network with industry experts. Is that clear? Let us reiterate these steps once more. Evaluate your current situation, establish financial objectives, and finally, develop the financial intelligence to achieve them. By building your financial foundation on these core principles, the possibility of achieving wealth is significantly enhanced, and you may one day have the opportunity to park that Mercedes in your garage. Financial intelligence and courage allows the rich to invent money in any situation. Welcome to slide 7. Here we're going to look at your attitude in financial matters, because if you do want to change your current financial state, you'll need to start handling your finances differently. The biggest change you most likely need to make is learning to take risks. In the real world, it's often not the intelligent who get ahead, it's the daring. Call it what you want, chutzpah, guts, audacity. Being brave enough to take risks is something the rich all have in common. Why? Well, if you don't conquer fear, you'll allow great opportunities in life to pass you by. That's why the studious and the intelligent often struggle financially. Their fear of society's disapproval prevents them from leaving the rat race and growing wealthy. And their fear of losing money is so powerful, it prevents them from investing in stocks or other assets. They fail to appreciate that success always takes guts. That's why financial intelligence can be boiled down to 2 key ingredients: knowledge, of course, but also courage. It's these 2 factors that set the rich apart from everyone else. And that is lesson 5. Financial intelligence allows the rich to invent money in any situation. They're able to spot opportunities, they know how to respond to them, and they have the daring to follow through. From the outside, it looks like they're just lucky, but in fact, they're creating their own luck. Sitting in on Rich Dad's business meetings, Robert and Mike learned a lesson school couldn't teach them. In the real world, success takes guts, not just hard work. When you combine courage with financial knowledge, you can spot opportunities quickly and make the most of every one. In other words, you can almost invent money. All right, let's dig a bit deeper into the notion of risk in this blank. Consider diversifying your financial portfolio by investing in stocks, bonds, or tax lien certificates. What does this entail? Primarily, taking risks involves moving away from the conservative approach of keeping your money solely in checking and savings accounts. Investing in stocks or bonds, although carrying more risk than standard bank accounts, offers the potential for significantly higher returns. With stocks, substantial gains can occur in a relatively short time frame. If the stock market does not appeal to you, numerous alternative investments can facilitate long-term wealth growth. Real estate and tax lien certificates are notable examples. Tax lien certificates, for instance, offer interest rates ranging from 8% to 30%, which far exceed the average savings account interest rate of 0.21% in the United States in 2013. Naturally, greater potential returns come with increased risk. For instance, investing in stocks includes the possibility of losing your entire investment. However, without accepting risks, substantial returns are unattainable. Embracing these opportunities and managing their inherent risks is essential to achieving significant financial growth, aligning with the principles advocated by Rich Dad. Aim to enhance your skills through work, not just earn an income. So far, we have established that your finances should be proactive. We have explored financial intelligence and the importance of taking bold actions. However, there is an additional critical lesson to gain from Rich Dad. Are you prepared? Here it is. Upon Robert's graduation from college, he quickly secured a stable and lucrative position. For many, this would have been an ideal scenario. That is precisely how his educated but financially struggling father perceived it. We already understand. Robert's poor dad viewed a secure career and consistent work as the only guaranteed path to wealth. Rich dad had a different perspective, as did Robert. After approximately 6 months, he resigned and joined the Marine Corps to pursue aviation. His poor dad was perplexed, whereas his rich dad commended him. Why? Not due to endorsing impulsiveness, but because he comprehended Robert's objective. His goal was not a stable paycheck, he sought to learn. He pursued employment that offered valuable lessons. His rich dad had instilled this mindset in him. Having a broad understanding was crucial for anyone aiming to generate wealth. This is why Robert focused on learning rather than merely earning. Ultimately, his assets would serve the purpose of generating income. His poor dad could not grasp this concept. In his view, Robert's approach contradicted conventional methods of accumulating wealth. He was an academic, intelligent, and well-educated with a PhD. His life experience taught him that specialization, not a diverse skill set, led to prosperity. In academia, advancement and learning often result in a narrower area of expertise. Similarly, doctors frequently seek specialization in a specific field, such as orthopedics or pediatrics, upon graduation. For some, such specialization is logical. It did not benefit his poor dad, whose PhD did little to enhance his earnings. In contrast, rich dad had a wide range of knowledge but never completed 8th grade. This is why he encouraged Robert and Mike to engage in various departments within his business empire. Over time, they gained experience in restaurants, construction, sales, marketing, accounting, and reservations. The objective was not to identify a single career path, but to equip them with the diverse skills and knowledge essential for wealth accumulation. Therefore, the sixth and final lesson is prioritize learning over earning, as it holds greater significance. Conclusion. Final summary. In conclusion, we have explored the 6 key lessons from Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This guidance has been instrumental in establishing Kiyosaki's substantial wealth, currently estimated at $100 million. Allow me to provide a brief recap. The first lesson emphasizes that the wealthy do not need to work for money. Remaining in the rat race may enrich others, but not yourself. It primarily benefits your employer. What is the alternative? This leads us to lesson 2. Educate yourself about finances, recognize true assets, and invest in them. Follow the third lesson by maintaining your primary job, reducing expenses, and having a side business to generate additional income. The fourth lesson is to understand the tax system thoroughly, as this is a strategy employed by the wealthy to retain their wealth. The fifth lesson highlights that generating income requires determination, and with it, you can capitalize on opportunities and create wealth in various situations. Finally, Lesson 6 advises working to learn and gaining broad knowledge. Leave specialization to experts in specific fields. This concludes our discussion. I trust you found the presentation informative and inspiring in your journey to financial success. For further insights on achieving success, consider exploring the 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. Thank you.